Yo, what up, good people? It's your man Natbizzy tuning in for a little tardy edition of the God Hour Live. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, I want to be here, and promptness is, you always got to be prompt, but I wasn't as prompt as I wanted to be tonight. So it was a bit of a delay, but I'm here nonetheless, and I'm happy to be here, you heard? And you know what it is when the Yankee hat gets tilted. That means, simply means I'm from New York. But, man, I'm just happy to be here today. I got a good brother who's supposed to be coming through in a short. He's going to chop it up with me about what he's got going on in the way of production, just creating live music, and how he moves in the music industry, man. His brother's a dope consultant, man. He's done some good stuff for some good people, man. And I want y'all to, build with me as I build with him and, see what's up with that. But outside of that, man, it's a beautiful day out here in the DMV, man. I don't know how it was. Yo, peace, Ken. Peace, Miss L. How y'all doing? Yeah, it was a beautiful day out here weather-wise in the DMV, man. I mean, it's deep in October, man. I didn't expect the weather to be like it was today. It was like nearly 80, man. Felt real good, man. Be thankful for these days, because it's going to get cold, and I don't want to hear people complaining when you could have been out enjoying the days like today. I like when the seasons change, But, that's about the size of that. But no further ado, I think my man has shown up. So we going to get right into the proceedings this evening. And thank you for tuning in. It's the God Hour. All right. Waiting for Brother Carroll to join. Maurice Carroll to join. Nubia, what's good, beloved? I can't wait to talk to you tomorrow. Beloved. Yeah, Maurice, I'm just waiting on you, King. Okay. Peace.
Peace. What up?
What's going on, good brother?
I'm good, bro.
Welcome to the God Hour.
Thank you for having me.
No doubt, man. It's only right, man. We go back a ways, man. You've helped me create some good soundtracks to my life, man, and all of that. Your team Aquarius, you're an Aqua brother. And
Yes,
I don't
sir.
think I've had many Aquarian brothers on here. I have some sisters on here, but, it's only right we get to chop it up a little bit, man. So
yeah, man. I appreciate it.
No problem at all, man. So for the people that don't know you, man, can you introduce yourself and tell them what it is you do exactly?
Man, okay. We got enough time?
Yeah, let's take as much time as we can.
So, yeah. So my primary thing, my name is Maurice Carroll. I am a music producer and music business consultant. There are a lot of things that fall under that umbrella that I do. Meaning like musician, MD, so many
music
things.
Director, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
There's some laymen out there. We gotta.
Right, right. Yep. So yeah, that's in a nutshell what I do. I've been playing music since I was, well, let me rephrase. I've been getting paid to play music since I was 11. Wow. I started playing when I was 4. I've had a studio, I've had a record label, I've been on tour, I've had interactions with multiple national and worldwide artists. It's royalties, copyrights. I've been I was a member of the Recording Academy for about 5 years. So it's pretty extensive, I am somebody that I don't like to give a lot of my credentials out, unless I'm in a situation like this and it's like, okay, people need to know.
Yeah,
I remember you telling me.
Yeah, we don't like to toot our own horns, man, because
right.
And I don't even know if it's so much as that, but I think it's so much we work in real time, like that. While it's happening, I don't have a lot of time to look back and explain to you what it is. It's just a transition for me.
Right.
We have a lot of hats naturally,
Yeah.
So how was it at 4 years old? What was it what was the instrument you started with?
Piano.
Okay.
Yep.
and you just could pick up the chords at 4.
Well, it wasn't the chords at first. It was the melodies at first.
Mm-hmm.
So age 4, you know, your fingers are too small to really stretch them out to hit the chords.
Mm-hmm.
But what they found was, you know, my parents and grandparents told me that when they would put me around a piano and music was playing, I could go to the piano and find what the melody it was and follow it and, you know, just kind of pick up on the melody. Maybe like 2 or 3 years later, I was able to do it with 2 fingers and find, you know, what the notes, what the harmony notes were. I developed that up until the age of 11. And when I was 11, that's when the churches was like, okay, we're about to pay you to do this.
Get out of here. Now, I'm assuming because there was a piano around for you to tinker with when the music was on, you come from a musical background in your family?
Yeah, my mother sings. My father was a singer, well, is a singer. My grandmother was a singer, and she's the one that had the piano in her home, and I spent a lot of time there. So yeah, that's where that was discovered.
What's really weird though is that you named all these singers in your lineage, but I just remember when I was in the studio the other day, you said you don't sing.
I don't sing.
You might be lying to us. You might just be shy, bro.
Nah. So like for me, like, you know, you have those people that can sing and you have people that can sing. I'm one of those people where you give me a bucket with some holes in it, I might be able to get it somewhere.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No doubt.
I might be able to carry it a little bit.
On the keyboard in the back with a little bit of the background, you know, sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what's up, man. So 11 years old, how did the churches even know you got busy? Who put them on to your talent?
So my family is a church family, and they, you know, typical storefront church. Everybody, you know, in the family goes. And when they knew that I could pick out melodies, and then they didn't have the budget to hire somebody, they were like, well, you know, hey, put you on here. Let's see what you do. And then maybe about a month or 2 after that, they knew that I could carry the service. That was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's heavy, man. That's heavy. Because it takes me back to a time where I remember the drummers, like he in my class at school, we only maybe 10, 11 years old, like you said. And then the church, he's the drummer. And you're like, wow. And I know that was the case with your son, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. My son came up. And he didn't really have a choice because both I'm in music, his mother's in music, and, you know, so he was around it all the time. So
wow, that's dope, man.
Yeah.
But I know I met you some time ago, man, when I was working on a project with a good brother, Darryl Taylor. And that was the first time I recorded in your studio over there. And would that be considered Arbutus?
Yes.
Yeah, in Arbutus. And the professionalism, man. You and the good brother Thomas, man. You guys ran a nice ship. And I wasn't really on my Zodiac thing back then, so I wouldn't have cared if you was a Leo, Taurus, the bull, whatever. It makes a lot of sense now that you were an Aquarian because you were like a consummate professional. You know what I'm saying? You let people come in and you let them work. And it was always, there was a pride in what I got out of it. You know what I'm saying? Because I recorded a lot of places, but some of the most valuable stuff I recorded was in you guys' studio. So that's why I always eventually found my way back, no matter how many places I travel and things I do. And I just wanted to commend you for that. So
I appreciate it.
But you were doing that when it wasn't easy. Everybody and their mama got a studio now. You know what I'm saying? How was it moving into that realm back in the, I would say the 90s is when y'all started that? What kind of, because that took some money to get some of the equipment needed to make a professional recording, you know, at that time. So what was the leap of faith that said, I think we can have a recording studio? How did that come about for you?
So it wasn't a leap, it was a push. You know? So basically what happened, when back then I had a gospel ensemble that Thomas was a part of as well. We kind of ran a gospel ensemble here locally, you know, just running around writing our own songs and trying to find studios to record our stuff in so we could do what every other artist does. You know, I got some songs I want to record. Let me push towards this mark, blah, 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 blah. And what we kept finding is that all of the studios that we went into, they had the equipment, but they didn't know how to produce. and they didn't know how to operate the equipment to accommodate a choir, so to speak. So both Thomas and I were like finding out, what does this piece of equipment do? What does this do? What does that do? And when we got into the last studio session that we had, we went to one studio, it was in a garage, and the engineer wasn't getting the sound right and he wasn't getting the production right. So I stepped up and I said, do you mind if we kind of do this? No, no, go ahead. You know, kind of, it was like, yeah, go ahead, but it was like that sarcasm there. All right, go ahead.
You think
you
you
know,
look better? Go ahead.
yeah, and this is back when, you know, the big 64 channel boards were the thing, and the big glass, and you know, like that whole thing.
No doubt.
And when we started operating and getting the EQ levels right and getting the volumes right, positioning the vocalists around the microphone the right way, and listening to playback, it was just like, why are we paying them to do this?
Yeah.
You know. And so it led us into a place where we started researching what is it that we can do on our own. We didn't have a budget. We didn't know how we were going to get the money. So we knew we had a keyboard. We knew we had a computer. All right, now what? And so Thomas is a very resourceful guy. And so he went into his research mode and found some, and I know they still have it now, but way then it was way more prominent, where you had the free trial versions of different software. And so back then we started off with Cakewalk on the computer, right, a keyboard, and was like, okay, let's figure out looping. All right, how do you do this? But you couldn't save anything because it was a trial version. So in comes, okay, let's see, well, if we can't save it, can we just burn it right to CD? And so that's how we started learning how to burn audio to CDs. And okay, then we bought the trial, we bought the actual version, blah, 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 blah. That goes on. And because we didn't have a real income, what we found were websites that would allow you to pay monthly installments while they sent you the equipment to work on and play with. And so that's how we bought one piece of equipment and then paid on it per month until it was done. And okay, now we know how this works with everything that we have. Let's buy another piece and then pay that one off. Next piece. And then we kept building it. And while we were building it, you know, we had different artists that were coming in like, oh, you guys are doing this? Oh, well, I want to do something. And then they would do something and we would record it. And of course, like most studios, we started off in like a bedroom or a basement, you know what I mean? We happened to start it off in a bedroom, and it got to the point where the clientele, it was too much for a residential area. And so we was like, okay, well, let's go find a spot. So we did. And then the first spot was 500 square feet. I think that's the spot that you came to. And then we moved like 2 blocks down, and it was 5,000 square feet.
Yes, it was. That was the dope spot. I wish I would have had more. My feet were a little more wet in the town at that time, because that was a perfect space to do a lot of things, which you guys were doing, man.
Yeah. We had everything there. That's Raw Tech Productions back then.
That's right. Yeah. Put it started off. Man. I knew it wasn't always Stinky Face, man.
Right, no.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. This is in the early 2000s, man. Like, you know, I think I'm probably 05, 06.
Yeah, somewhere back in there,
yeah, man. But even with that, now what instrument did Thomas play? He was a bass guitar or a lead guitar?
He was keyboard and vocalist.
Wow, yeah, y'all did have 2 keyboards set up. And then y'all would have somebody on like bass.
Yes, we had the funny thing about our history is that a lot of the people that have come through and worked with us have like really advanced their careers. So the bass player that we had back then, he is now the music director for a very popular gospel artist now. He has his own studio, doing his own production, has toured, and you know, he's doing a lot of good things.
Crazy.
You know, but yeah, we had a full band back then, you know, backing up people and everything. Yeah.
And that was wow. Yeah, it was a lot going on back then, man, musically. But again, man, for you the guys to be so young, you never went to school for this? You never went and got like actual.
So yes and no. More so on the no, but the yes part is I was at Morgan State, and I got there on a music scholarship under the late Nathan Carter. And when I found out, he put me under the gun and said, listen, either you're going to sing and make this music your career, or you're going to go and work and do whatever you're doing over there. But I need your time. And at the time, I had my own place, my own vehicle. I had a job, and I couldn't devote, the time that he required for me to go touring with the choir. Okay. So I changed majors, went to telecom.
So you were singing at first when you went to Morgan?
Yeah, baritone.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to hide in the crowd. You know how that goes. But yeah, when I went to telecom, I was starting to learn radio, learn TV. Wow. But I thought that when in radio, I thought that they were going to kind of show me the audio studio, kind of thing. And they were like, no, that's not what this is. And that's when I was like, okay, yep, I'm out. I'm done. And so I left. And then everything else, became a hands-on kind of training. Yeah. It wasn't until maybe about 5, maybe 6 years ago, I got some certifications through Berkeley, with vocal recording technique and music business 101 and, little things like that. Yeah. Just because I know some people, they like to see some type of credential. Yeah. That's really the only reason why I really did it. But, and I know Berkeley is, pretty prestigious as far as music. So yeah. I went there to get those certifications. But everything that I knew, everything that I learned in those classes and those courses, I knew already. I just didn't have the terminology to place behind it. You know what I mean?
Because what's funny is that when I met you way back then, you were having interns come in that you were actually teaching back then.
Right. Yeah. I still have that. Yeah. I still have 2, they're now interns, but I still have 2 people that are in school and learning and like, hey, what does this mean? How do I do this? And I'm showing them the real world application as opposed to just a textbook.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So when you're doing that, you're playing in church at 11. You eventually grow. You build a studio. Now you're getting studio. You're able to record other artists and things of that nature. People like myself come along. Almost every notable artist in Baltimore probably has come through either the Raw Tech or the Stinky Face situation.
Right.
When did you move into the way of what you're doing with consultation in the music business consultation?
Yeah. Excellent question. So what happened is along the way, I made a lot of mistakes. And in making those mistakes, I learned how to ask questions. And, okay, what did I do wrong? Why was it wrong? How do I not make that mistake again? And things like that. And what I found out was that the music industry, no, let me rephrase. The music business is more business than it is music. And when that reality hit me, it was like, well, that means I need to know more about this business because, now I knew that I had a certain amount of talent myself. I knew I had a lot of talent walking in and out the door, but I also knew out of all of that talent, we were always hitting a ceiling. Yeah. It's only a certain amount of venues we could get to and only a certain amount of CDs we could sell. And we can only get to this side of town or to this state. And it's like, well, what is happening? Like, why can't, and that took me down a road, and reminder actually, because, in my earlier days, I was working at a record store and there was an R&B group back then. They were called UNV.
UNV?
And they were they did okay. But
it sounds like I heard of
yeah, I can't remember what their songs, huh?
Were they a regional act or?
No, they were national. They were national.
Okay.
But what happened was, we had people that came in to the stores and do signings and, things like that. And then at that particular moment, they were like, "Hey, you gotta hear Maurice. He does this, da 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 da." So they were like, "Well, what you got?" And me being green, I was like, "Oh, well, this is what I got." And they were like, "Well, sing that again. What's that again?"
Is that the group that sung "Something's Going On" or something like that? Yeah.
Yep.
That was the joint. I
So,
like that song right there, man.
yeah. So
Yeah.
what ended up happening is I got burnt that day
Oh, did you write that
because
song?
no, I ain't write that one. No, no. But a lot of my lyrics and melodies ended up on another song that was on that same album, and I had no way to prove it. I had no way to pursue it, and it was like, man, I don't even know what to do.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So that was lesson number one.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, so how do I protect myself from that? That led me into copywriting and understanding how that worked. And it also helped me to walk into publishing and how that worked. From then on, it kept going and going and going. I ran into a couple of another, 2 or 3 other issues where I made mistakes. I had a licensing deal with a contact in LA. When Spider-Man 3, the movie, was getting ready to come out, they always released the video game first.
Okay.
And one of my songs was up for the commercial to promote the video game.
Mm-hmm.
And my agent called, they being on West Coast, I'm on East. Hey, listen, we need the song this way, and this way, and I need it in about an hour. And okay, but I wasn't home. It took me an hour and a half before I was able to send it. But that half an hour, I missed 25 G's. So that said, okay, let's see, how do you store your music? How do you make sure that you can have the versions of whatever it is that they need? Can you send it to them in advance? Like all of those kind of questions, because I didn't want to miss that money again. That hurt. You know what I mean? And I was at the table. I know we talked about this in the studio. I was at the table with Cash Money. I was at the table with Zane. And we're talking in their primes where they were both in millionaire statuses. Yeah. And, the artist just didn't see the benefit of taking a bad deal for the sake of leveraging that bad deal for another time and another deal.
Now that's a conflicting lesson right there, because some people would say, it's better to not take a bad deal. Just wait for your time. You know what I mean? Don't let anybody burn you, because you could be a one-hit wonder that never capitalizes off that one hit. So, whereas most artists would say, because I was going to say, when I was coming in the game, I never signed a deal or nothing like that. I've only really had, I had a couple commercial, efforts, but I never signed a deal. But a lot of people would say, you just take that as a part of the game. Like, you're going to get a bad deal. You're going to learn from that bad deal, and you set yourself up in a better situation. And it sounds like that's what you're saying. Even if it's a bad deal, if it gave you publicity, if it put your name in places you would have never been able to put your name in by yourself, or without that machine behind you, is that what you're kind of saying? It would have been worth it for that artist, perhaps?
Yeah. So there's a very controversial pastor who once told me, very popular pastor, who once told me, all publicity is good publicity. There's no such thing as bad publicity. And I watched how they moved. I learned the lesson. Even though something seemed to be bad, it was still publicity, and it kept that person in the spotlight, good or bad. And when you're in that spotlight, you can leverage it and you can profit off of it, regardless, good or bad. And I knew that. I took that in consideration, so I used it in my industry. So, okay, yeah, it's a bad deal, but we can leverage that.
Yeah, but like, when you say bad, how bad was it?
It was an 80-20 their way.
Well, that's pretty standard at a certain point in the industry, though, right?
It used to be.
Mm-hmm.
If you go with a deal now, when I say now, within the past 5 years or so,
Mm-hmm.
they have what they call 360 deals.
Yeah,
And
that's
so,
robbery.
yeah,
Depending.
they get you on merch, they
Yeah.
get you on the performance, they get you on the downloads, they get you on the uses of your name and
Yeah.
likeness.
You
Like
secure an
it's
acting role or something. You get whatever you're
yeah,
doing. They own
they
you,
get a
really.
they get a pinch. Yeah,
Yeah.
they get a pinch. So back then it was still bad, but it wasn't bad as a 360.
Mm.
So you had to back then you kind of had to know. Well, actually, period. You had to know
Peace, Corey.
what what a deal is. You know what is good, what's bad. You need to know. Okay, well, what is my plan? And so for me, what another road that led me into consulting was understanding that a lot of the people that I liked their artwork, I liked their like what they were presenting, I liked their art,
Mm-hmm.
but the business they didn't have a plan. It was okay, I'm gonna get on because I'm nice, and I'm like, you're not gonna get on because you're nice. You are nice, but that's not why you're gonna get on. That's not how you get on.
Yeah.
And understanding the mechanics that work behind the curtain was something that most artists didn't know about. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
felt like it was my responsibility. Hey, Reese, you peek behind the curtain. You know what it is. You need to tell these folks something, you
Yeah.
know? So I kind of felt obligated with it. And so I started saying, hey, listen, I'm not a manager, you know, but I can consult you. I can tell you and give you direction on what you should and shouldn't do, what paperwork you need to have ready, what things you need to look for in said contract, knowing what contracts you should be looking at. Like, what is a split sheet? Why should I register my copyright? Who is BMI and ASCAP? Why do I need to know that? You know, things like that. What's a publishing deal? I don't know, you know, knowing that kind of stuff. And then it opened up a road for you to understand and for me to understand, you know, there are other ways that you can get money in the music industry and
Yeah.
people don't have to know who you are. You can be pulling down some coin. And matter of fact, there were even makeup artists that I told them, I said, you can have a career in the music industry. If you set yourself in a position where all you're doing is artist, you're in the music industry, even though all you're doing is makeup. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So there are a lot of routes that you can go in and make a living off of it. And as a consultant, I got into the place where people started seeing the successes of people that were claiming my umbrella, people that were under Stinky Face Music, and seeing them on these big stages and seeing them getting played on the radio year after year, you know, and then finding out, oh, they got a check. How they do that? And oh, that's Reese in the corner, in the back on the keyboard. He
Yeah.
did that. You know what I mean? And so it started to pull people in where they were like, well, how do I do that? And, you know, and I have a formula, you know, to make it work. And I don't have all of the answers, but I do know what works, you know, to a
Okay.
certain degree.
So
And I know where my stealing is.
so let me ask you, right? If
Hmm.
because I'm gonna be honest with you, what you said about the talent aspect of it. When I was doing what I was doing, because I was introduced to hip hop kind of like you were introduced to music. You know what I mean? It came
Hmm.
before I knew what it was. I didn't know what the value of it was. It was a
Hmm.
novelty. You know, I was a novelty act. I was a kid that could rap, you know,
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
rapped anywhere I could for
Hmm.
fun. It's just like playing
Hmm.
basketball to me. You know, you're
Yeah.
not a pro basketball player when you love to play basketball. You just go wherever there's a court. I went wherever there was a mic, wherever there was something
Right.
happening at. So by the
Right.
time I made my way to a recording studio, when the brother,
My bad.
when the good brother who was on here, my brother Cassie D, took me to the recording studio, to me it was just amazement, you know, and I was a
Hmm.
grown man at the time, you know what I'm saying? I was about 22, 23 years old, and he took me to the studio, and it's the first time I was in a recording studio. And I'm like,
Hmm.
wow, I'm in awe, you know what I'm saying? And they tell me,
Hmm.
okay, it costs this much an hour, and I sort of how they made the beat, and then how we laid the song and everything. But I never once cared or wondered or asked about anything dealing with paperwork, anything dealing
Hmm.
with publishing, anything dealing with splits. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I don't know what my man Kazzy did with that song, but to me, it really didn't matter because the fact that he brought me there, I couldn't have paid for that. You know what I'm saying? So he don't have to ever give me nothing. You know what I'm saying? But because he gave me an introduction to something that I now, instead of giving me a fish, he taught me how to fish. You know what I'm saying? But for some others, for somebody else, for a young kid or somebody else that's trying to come up in this game, where can they see the value in dealing with you as a consultant? And what would be something that they can expect? Because I know a lot of people say, well, I don't have the money for that even before they know how much it costs. So how could you explain that?
Listen, if I had a dime for every time somebody said I don't have the money without knowing what I charge and without knowing what the actual investment is, man. So the value is this. The music business itself doesn't change much. The construct of it, the infrastructure of it doesn't change much at all. How it's done changes. So in our day, you could press up some CDs and hit the streets, with 100 CDs and come back, with a stack.
Yeah. Easy.
Now you gotta people not buying CDs.
Yeah. But it was hard to press CDs too. At least
it was.
Layman. You didn't know it was disc makers, and disc makers was charging you an arm and a leg, or you went to some of the other. By the time it got cheap, everything got cheap. The quality of music got cheap. You know what I mean?
Right. And so, looking at it, what we were doing was street level marketing. That's what we were doing. Street level promotion, right? The promotion and the marketing aspect is the universal way that it never changed. Back in the day, they called it the Chitlin Circuit. That was their marketing and promotion. For us, it was getting on the street, and I don't mean just like physically, but just how we could promote our CDs and get the CDs moving, get the units moving.
If there's a showcase,
right. And so now we're in the digital realm. There's still marketing and promotion. The idea of it and what you have to do remains the same. It's the how that changed. It's like, okay, well, now we got streaming and you're only getting a certain amount of money for the streams and you're only getting a certain amount of downloads. And how do I make money there? And then it becomes a positioning thing. The marketing and promotion of the music industry is the same. So when I meet a new artist and they're saying, well, yeah, man, it's not like it was when you was coming up. Yeah, I know that. But the principle of it has not shifted. I'm always giving principle. I'm always telling you what needs to happen. I'm telling you what paperwork needs to be done. How is something that we can talk about because the industry is always shifting. So like, for instance, like 2 years ago, there was no TikTok. You know what I mean? So it wasn't, okay, well, how do I get my song prepared for TikTok? Because it didn't exist. So it wasn't even in the conversation. So now you got to figure out, okay, well, if I'm marketing the song and I know TikTok is the #1 place for it to break, then what clip am I using? How do I promote it there? How am I marketing it there? It was just simply the how. Before, people was on the street. You could walk up to somebody or you go to a venue. Here's my CD. Blah, 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 blah. Watch me perform. If you like it, here. Now it's TikTok and it's, oh, you like it and put this video to it. And now we both getting, whatever. It's the technique is the same. I mean, sorry, the principle is the same, but the how is what shifted. So whether you agree with, if a new artist doesn't agree with, we disagree on the type of music that we like, it doesn't matter because the business behind the music stays the same. I might not think you hot. Yeah, I might not think that you hot, but I might think that you're marketable. So therefore I can say, this is how we can sell this. This is how you should sell it. You know what I mean? And one of the things that I tell artists all the time, one of the first things that I tell them is that stop looking at yourself as I'm the artist. My art is this. I was like, when you're in the music industry, the first thing that we look at you as is a product.
That's it.
What you are a product. And if you don't see yourself that way, you're gonna be done before you start. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where if you're a product, and okay, so the question becomes, what is the market for this product? How do I push this product? How do I reinvent this product? How do I make sure that people don't get tired of this product? How can I scale this product? You know what I mean? And that
When you
those
say scale, what do
principles.
you mean?
So scaling is when you have one thing and you make it work multiple. You can make it work over and over and over again. For example, you have let's say a Jay-Z, or let's say Nas. Let's say Nas, right? Everybody is like, okay, that one CD was popping, and then from what I hear, most people are like, why he can't pick the right beats? You know what I mean? Ever
Yeah.
since then, right? But like what I learned from you, he has a label and he has people on the label and he's still profiting. He scaled his business. He used what made him hot. He used his rhymes. He used that album. He used the publicity. He used the attention to create something else
He's
to make
caked up
him
right now. Yeah.
right. Right. Don't
Like
nobody have to know.
he just
Same.
made a whole bunch of money with some business. I don't know if it was Airbnb or something he was
Hmm.
invested in where he just
Hmm.
cashed out crazy, man.
Right. So it's about scaling. All
Mhm.
right. A better example is Dre. He scaled his business. He had NWA, yes, but then he scaled it because there were other artists that he brought on. Snoop, and he brought on, he brought on
Shelly.
these, yeah, he brought on these different people
Mhm.
who then kind of treed underneath of him. So okay, yeah, you got Snoop, yeah, you got M, but then M brought on 50, and so he's making a
50
little bit of
brought on
money.
G Unit and so
Yeah,
forth and so on. Yeah.
that's scaling. That's scaling and
Wow.
diversifying. And artists have, if you don't see yourself as a product, it's kind of hard to look at it from the business perspective to say, how do I scale it? How do I diversify? So I'll use myself as an example.
Hmm.
Most people know me or knew me as, okay, that's the keyboard guy that records people. Okay, cool. That's fine. But what you didn't know that I had different titles. Yeah, I can produce a song that I didn't make the music for. I can tell you how to sing it or how to rap over it, even though I didn't create the music. I can tell you how it's supposed to flow. Or I can compose the music and you take it somewhere else and do your thing.
Hmm.
Or you can come in with something and I can just engineer it. All of those are different umbrellas. Oh, well, you want to hire me for your gig. Okay. Do you want to hire me as your live sound tech? Or do you want to hire me as your MD or just a keyboard player? So that's diversifying. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for sure.
And what I did learn, and another point is that when as an artist, a lot of artists are multi-talented.
Hmm.
And one of the major mistakes that artists do, they come out the gate saying, "Oh, I do this, and this. Oh, I can rhyme like this, and I can sing like this, and I can do this genre and that genre, and I do all of them well. You can't put me in a box." Yeah, but now you look confused to the people that are in business.
Yeah.
And one of the things I teach is one of the jewels that I teach is, as much as you want to move around in a vehicle, you go buy a vehicle, right? They bring you a key, one key, right?
Yeah.
They don't give you a whole bunch of keys and say, oh, pick one to drive the car. They give you one key. This is the key to this vehicle that can take you to different destinations, right? Um, then they say, you get jewelry, right? You get a ring, or it comes in a box. Now, what it's worth, you have to find out after you open the box and examine it, right?
Yeah.
So the same thing goes for an artist. You got to put yourself in a packaged box in order for somebody to say, what is this? Let me check it out. Let me see what the value is. Let me see where I can take it. And then you let them know how fast you can go and in the directions you can go and what your worth is. But if you come out the box, saying you can do all of these things, you look confused.
Yeah. Or there's some ways around it if you're that type of artist. You could always perform at the subway. You could perform on the street. No, and I mean I'm being honest with you
No,
because
you're right.
if you look at Gabrielle Sidibe's mom, Precious, from the girl from Empire, her
Yeah.
mother makes a lot of money singing at 42nd Street in the train station. You know,
Okay.
this is facts. You know, or you could be the type of artist that you just so strictly artsy that maybe you need to align yourself for like a museum or something, an art museum or something like that. There's ways around it. We know, because I don't ever want to be looking at somebody to tell somebody what they can't do, because you know things
Right.
change. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do it. I'm saying the probability of
Yes.
you getting to the status that you think that you're going to be at just because I can do these things. Like you have people like Michelle Cello or Mint Condition they came out and they came out busting at the seams. You know what I mean? So they came out as an R&B or a neo soul, but the way that they did their performances, you just knew that they weren't in a box, which is fine. But it took at that moment for them to get on that platform to show I can do all of these things. And so, yeah,
it's still a little
it's definitely possible.
Yeah, it's still a little unsung with them too. Like, you know,
Yes.
they're big
Yes.
with us because we love them, but they're still, you know, for what their talent is, you would think they would be much, you know, maybe if they'd concentrated in one way or the other.
Right. So, I mean, and what I'm saying is not law. I'm not saying that at all. You know, what I'm saying is that 80% of the time you gotta position yourself in a certain way so that people can take a look, and then you stand out, and then you say, oh, by the way, this is something else that I can do.
Yeah. And that's real, man. That's real. I know, like, what you're speaking is directly what happened with me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like a dude that's from the hood. I came in with the gangsters. You know what I mean? But it was really quickly that I envisioned another whole way of doing things. I wanted to be Common, but I knew I wasn't as. And Common ain't as clean as people think. Common was a little gangster too. People forget he had that beef with Ice Cube. You know what I'm saying? But you know, when I was getting compared, I didn't necessarily want to get compared with Common and where his career was going. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm still from the hood. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want y'all to get it twisted that I'm you know, PG or nothing like that. But at the same time, I don't want to just keep perpetuating these messages that's getting our kids killed and just hurting our people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But because there was no real definition for me, when I was going into meetings and stuff like that, I think that's where things were kind of falling apart and falling flat. Yeah. Because even me being an artist, I don't even want to hear it. If you're trying to say anything outside of what I want to hear, the deal's off. Especially being an adult. You know what I mean? Because you can get kids sometimes, but the adult artists are the worst because they'll be the first to tell you, no, I want it done this way. And you'd be like, well, what have you done doing it that way so far? Because if so, you probably wouldn't even want to be talking to me or talking to, you know, somebody that could help take it to another level. But, you know, being an artist is being a parent. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be very picky, you know, if you're a really, you know, good parent about where you send your kid to go to school. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes.
You know, because I knew a teacher at a school I went to, and she was talking about her son one day. I said, how old is your son? And she was like, he was like our age. I said, well, why you don't go here? She was like, oh, good Lord. No, I wouldn't send my son here. He's going somewhere else. You know, and she teaches there. So, yeah, man, this music game, man. So what is it looking like for you now, man? And the other part to the question was, how can an artist get in touch with you, and what can they look forward to in the way of, is it the arm, is it the leg, is it an arm and a leg? Like, what do they got to look forward to in approaching you for some consultation?
So I can be found. I'm on social media, both Instagram and Facebook, under my government name. I didn't do a handle.
No doubt.
And I have my reasons for it. I'll share that. But if you look under Maurice Carroll, you'll see my face, you'll see the half face. Yeah. It's the same way across all platforms. The reason why I do that is something that I learned from McDonald's. And what I learned is branding is everything. So you make it easy for people to recognize where you are anywhere. So I keep the same profile pic on all social media platforms. You know, advertisement, it's the same pic. My government name is the easiest way to find me. and it keeps everything simple. I didn't want people to jump through hoops to try to figure out how to find me. So that's how you find me. As far as cost is concerned, my rates, I'm not expensive at all. For a new artist, I'm about the same amount that you would spend on a dinner.
Wow.
Per hour. You know what I mean? So, and the information that I'm giving you is going to be lifetime. So, and that's the way that I like to phrase it. I don't know if you want to go into specific numbers.
No, definitely not.
But
I
yeah.
would also say, because that's the difference for a lot of us that come in this game and try to do some amazing things, is the access to information. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know, we buy a whole lot of stuff to make this music. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You buy the studio time. Sometimes you buy the production. You know what I'm saying? You probably bought the singing lessons if you had a vocal coach. You know what I'm saying? Or or you know, whatever you bought to get yourself to that level, it's sometimes a travesty to get it that far and leave it there because you don't want to do whatever it takes to get it to the next level. And most times, whatever it takes is having that mentor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Peace and love. Floetically divine. Peace and love. Darren Taylor, welcome to the party. That's my guy. But yeah, like so I know for me as an artist, man, it always was crazy because you think somebody's supposed to do this for you just because you're good. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you learn very early in dealing with people who are engineers and work in the business part of the music industry is that good is debatable. Good is always in the eye of in the ear of the beholder. They don't care. Like sometimes the worst thing you could ask an engineer and get your feelings hurt who's doing your session is, yo, that was hot, right? Because a lot of times he's just gonna look at you with a blank face like you do and be like, yeah. Right, you know?
Yeah. Listen, man, my poker face is dangerous.
Now, you know, because you think the engineer just heard them hot fire bars you was spitting, and all he was listening to was the timing, to make sure the levels was good. He's heard a million rappers before you.
Right.
It ain't really about if it's good or not. We just want to know what it sound like. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, for me, it's you can find me that way, but the biggest thing that I always teach, and I need to get back to your question too, but the biggest thing that I can always teach somebody is to ask questions and to learn. Like, just be open. Like, just because you got the bars, just because you have the look, it doesn't mean that you're it. It doesn't mean that you're going to go, you know, and that's a reality. And so when you're diversifying what your talents are, when you're taking in information, if you want to do this as a living, for a living, and not as a hobby, one of the best things that you can do is figure out on what side of the fence you're going to be on, first of all, because some people, it's a hobby for them. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then you asked about the financial end of it as well. But if you find out that you want to be on the career side, you have to take under consideration that means a different type of commitment. It means I need to look at this for the longevity. Yeah. And a lot of artists that I've come across, met, seen, heard about, you know, it's that let me get on. And from my experience, I'm in here, this is, I think, year 13, 14 for me, full time. And one of the things that I learned is you have to find different ways to make money using your talent. You just have to. So I know you said, how do they follow me? I forgot the second part.
But then you pretty much answered the second part. I said, what can you look forward to, you know, as far as economically and dealing with
yeah.
You said, like, it's for a new artist, it's about the cost of a dinner per hour. And then that's when you started talking about investing in your infrastructure, because that's basically what it is, you know.
Yeah. You have to do that. Yeah. You absolutely have to do that. And so if you're coming into the business and you're thinking that somebody's going to walk you through because of your talent, you're in the wrong business. You're absolutely in the wrong business. And to know how to make money, how to invest in yourself, you know, and to know that a lot of that money you might lose, you know what I mean? And you might lose it, but you need to know, okay, go ahead and make the mistakes. Make as many mistakes as you can, because that's where the learning comes in. So don't be afraid to say, oh, I spent $200 here or $400 there and I don't have nothing to show for it. Yeah, you do. What did you learn from that? How can you do it better next time? You do have something to show for it. It's just that it didn't go the way that you planned it to. It didn't go into the flow that you thought it was going to go into. And as an artist, and I'm gonna end with this one. As an artist, like a lot of times we talked about us and having making having baby music being our baby and things like that. A lot of times I see that artists hold on to that music too long, and because they're trying to perfect it a certain way, and it's like, and one of my points is, if you're an artist, you can make something, figure out what you could have did better, and improve it on the next thing. And then whatever mistakes you made on that second thing, or that you felt like you could improve on, make the third one and improve on it. And then look back and say, oh, you see what I did the first time? And look where I'm at now. You have, timestamps to show your progression. If you keep waiting and fixing and fixing and fixing, you're always going to learn something new. You're always going to learn something different. You're always going to learn a way to make it better. If you never release it, you're never going to really see how the progression is. You know what I mean?
Now, the only thing I would counter with that, you know what I'm saying?
Let's go.
And this is from a purely Aquarian standpoint. Dr. Dre would approve of this. Is that you sometimes feel like, you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Because you're so it's romantic, the connection. It's like parental and romantic, the connection you have with this thing you call your art. So, it's just like the artist, it's not ready yet. When he's painting something, don't look, So you kind of feel like that. But I'm a testament of it. You know what I mean? Them years go by, man. You know what I mean?
Now listen, I've done it.
Months, bro.
I've done it. I've been on both sides of the fence. I'm telling you, I've done it. I've held on. And then what happens is you release it, and then the romance has died.
Yeah.
It's like, I've released it, and now it's not getting the attention. That it's not getting the love that I put into it. Yeah. And it's like, oh man. So, and then again, and this is another Aquarian thing. Yeah. I feel like I can do it again.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm gonna let it go. Right? I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna do it the best that I can do it now, and I'm gonna let it go. Yeah. But then, okay, well, once it's out, and I feel like, oh dang, I could have did this, I could have did that. Yeah. All right, noted. I'm gonna do another one. Here you go. Yeah. You know what I mean? I feel like I can repeat it.
Yeah. 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 I know another thing is like, once you make it, you know what I'm saying? You make this work, and then you don't put it out. Like for me, it's always, oh, it's not mixed right. Oh, it's not mastered. Oh, I meant to put this in there. I want to put a single on it. For whatever reason you delay the work, right? Then you get years down the line, right? And then you talking to somebody, right? They don't even think you rap no more. They like, yo, you still rap? You like, yeah, let me let you hear something. And you play something from way back then, and they go, man, this is fire. Why you didn't put that out? You know what I mean? And then you're scratching your head like, ugh.
Yep.
Yeah. So let me be a lesson to you artists out there, man. Put that stuff out, man. Don't find yourself in your late 40s about to put out a mixtape and everybody trying to clown you for that. But if you are in your late 40s and you put out a mixtape, put out a mixtape. Don't let anybody clown you. This your life.
Right.
That's what you want to do, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
shouts out to D Taylor. He was one of the first people that one of the first people that I mentored.
Word. Yep. And Daryl really looked up to you guys, man. He was singing your praises. He told me where we're going to the studio. I'm taking you to the right guys, man. And
yeah,
like I said, that's in Maryland. You're pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? That I go to record, man, because that recording process is intimate, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You can't just record anywhere, man. You know, engineers, are a dime a dozen sometimes. But the right engineers, man, is like finding a diamond in a rough, man. Like, you want to hold on to it, man, because, there's some people and that's why I never, as an artist, there's a lot of artists that ventured into engineering and production and things like that. I'm always in awe of artists that are also producers, like Havoc from Mobb Deep, or Dr. Dre himself, even how he does his thing, because I never really wanted to do anything but rap the best I could rap. I didn't want to make beats, and I feel like I probably could, but the time it would take me to concentrate on trying to learn how and in the technical side of it, it feels like it's taken away from what I could be doing artistically with the pen. And the same thing with engineering. When I go in the studio, I don't got time to be trying to figure out all these knobs, bells, and whistles. I just want an engineer who already knows the terrain to say, all right, it's ready. You know what I'm saying? And I can tell him, play that back, cue that. I know what I want to sound like, but I don't have time for all the technical stuff, man.
So here's what I'm gonna say this. I think that the same attention that artists give to that musical process, if they give that same attention to the business half of the business, well, it's more than half, but if they gave that same attention to the business, a lot of the opportunities would come to them better and quicker. Like people come to me, like I'm moving into licensing now, for example. You know, I'm in the moving my whole career into music licensing. And people are like, well, I want to do that too. Well, yeah, but it's a learning process. Just because the song is hot don't mean it's going to get put on. Yeah. Just because it's mixed right and mastered right doesn't mean it's going to put on. It's a matter of, is that what the industry is looking for? Do you know what they're looking for? Do you know the format that they're looking for it in?
Can you tell them what they're looking for? Because sometimes you have to tell the industry what they're looking for. So are you that persuasive?
Well, see, and I thought that same way. To a degree, you're right, because if you have that much of a unique sound, it'll present itself. But that's why so many songs get repeated in movies. That's why so many artists go to those music licensing company where they can just snatch something and pay $2 and $3 for it. You know, it's so much music out there that fits certain situations, and you can't, as an artist, we try to predict what those scenes are and write towards those scenes. And from a visual perspective, it might not be those exact words. It might be more of the feeling. And so you have to kind of do art for art's sake and make sure that your business is right. So yeah, be creative, write the songs, go through the process, but make sure the minor things which become major later are right. Make sure your copyright is registered. Make sure that your PRO information is there. Make sure that everybody's credited a certain way. You know, little things like make sure the split sheets are done. So when somebody is serious and they say, well, who owns this song? You can send them a document and say, this is who owns the song. Not, oh, let me reach out to my band over here. You know, you don't have to go through that. And that becomes a problem because the industry moves.
Get ready.
Yeah, the industry moves quick, and that half an hour or hour or a day that it takes you to reach out to your man to get his information, they done moved on because they got to move. You know what I mean? So things like that, get your split sheets right, make sure everybody's information is up to date, up to code, and have it ready before you put the song out, because you don't know, somebody might hit it as soon as you put it out, and if you're not ready, then you missed it. You know what I mean? So that's where I come in at. Just as a consultant, that's what you can expect when you come to me, is for me to say to you, okay, yeah, I know you got 5 songs that you're ready to drop this EP. Where's the paperwork? Do you have your stem files? Do you have this person that played guitar on it? Are they gonna come for you later? You know, or do you have a release from them that keeps them from being able to do that? Like little things like that, I would advise you on. It's not to say that it's law and you have to do what I'm saying, but I am putting it in your face to say, well, if this happens, this can happen. You know what I mean? And that's, as a consultant, those are the kind of conversations you can expect from me.
No doubt. Yo, Maurice, man, I really appreciate you for coming through tonight, man.
Much love, man.
Everybody, y'all get prepared because I'm back to work, man. I'm up in there and I'm doing some things, man. And I appreciate you, King, for keeping your business right and exact, man. So I can't have a home to come back to when I'm in Maryland and all that, man. But, you know, this has been a pleasure. I think I want to do something reoccurring with you, man. We're going to have to chop it up about that. I got a plan for you, man. You know what I mean?
I'm with it.
Aqua brother, man. I salute you, man.
All right.
No doubt. And I'll talk to you next time, man. I'll be calling you in a second.
Okay.
All right, 100.
All right.
No doubt. And big shout out to everybody on the check-in, man. Everybody that checked in. Good to see my good brother, Darryl Taylor, man. That was my first business partner, especially out here in Maryland, man. I love you, good brother. Tracy Fisher, everybody that checked in. It's one love, one life. This has been the God Hour, tardy edition, but we got it done, right? Peace and love.